Well, Danielle, so is it assembly person, assembly woman, assembly, what is it?
Assemblywoman.
Assemblywoman.
Yeah. Really rolls off the tongue.
That's too many syllables.
I know. Just like my title. I'm Southern Minority Deputy Leader. Bleh.
Your business card's like this big.
I don't even bother putting that on there.
And it'll be what, January's a year?
Yes.
How's it been?
Yeah.
How's it been so far?
It's been interesting. You're going through campaigning and you just think that's the end all be all. You're so focused on it, you don't realize, you kind of forget what's at the end of the road. And then you get somewhat to the end of the road and you're like, oh my gosh, I just won. And then it's this like very humbling, overwhelming feeling where it's like, oh my gosh, can I do this job? What did I sign up for?
When did it hit when I won and then it sunk in that, oh my God, now let's get to work. I'm representing all these people and constituents up in Carson City.
Next day, I just felt like this huge weight on my shoulders that I had this massive responsibility to represent 80,000 people. And it was, I almost felt paralyzed at the moment. And then it was, okay, let's switch gears. What's the job? What's the goal? What's the point? And then that switches a lot over the next few months. So you get into Carson and you think like, very naively as a freshman, I'm going to like pass all these bills and it's going to be great. And we're going to work across the aisle and everybody's going to be kumbaya. No. So there's all sorts of like these weird forces that are working for, against, and some people are better at it than others. And so they're more successful. And so you kind of find out that there's a lot of things outside of your control. And you just do the best on what you can do to control. I'll say halfway through the session, I realized I wasn't going to get any of my bills passed. And it was depressing.
What was the first thing and when that just hit you in the face?
Like the bad thing?
Challenging.
So the negative press, that was, it felt like a punch in the stomach when it started. I hadn't even done anything and people were already talking horrible things about me. I'm not going to name the report because I don't want to give him any oxygen. But it's this insider report, and lobbyists and probably other legislators, they leak these anonymous tips. And none of it was true, but nobody actually knew me. So they believed it in the beginning, which is part of the reason why I wasn't getting any of my bills past the first 2 months, because they all thought I was crazy. Are we allowed to cuss on here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fuck yeah. Did you have to go do damage control? Because all they're doing is looking for clicks online, I would assume.
Yeah.
So they put up just like sensational stuff.
Right. So, they're looking for in this case, it's not clicks, it's subscriptions.
Okay.
So the juicier and the nastier it is, the more people read and they want to sign up for it, and it's expensive, and I don't pay this guy. It gets forwarded to me. So whatever. And I didn't, yes and no, I had to do damage control. The claims were so outrageous that there wasn't anything I really needed to do except just be myself. But it took 2 months for people to realize that I was not batshit crazy. And then after that, everybody's like, wow. But at that point, there's timelines. So my bills weren't getting heard in hearings. And if I didn't make those timelines, then they weren't going to get voted on the floor. So it's okay. I found other ways to make an impact.
Like?
So I found that I was pretty good at reading through bills and making them better, and getting people to see that as well and making those amendments. So and I focused a lot on the property management bills, obviously. And there was a lot of this laissez-faire, like, oh, the gov's just going to veto them. Well, my thought was, if he has to horse trade school choice or government modernization or, supporting our first responders, his platform promises, if I was the governor, I would do the same thing. So I'm not going to take that for granted. So I spent a lot of time with legal aid amending bills just in case he had to pass them, so that at least they'd be palatable. And at least I could go back to the property managers, who were massive supporters of me, and say, look, this is what I was able to do for us. So that was cool. And then the A's thing was really exciting. So I knew towards the end of session, like I had nothing to lose, like it didn't matter. And a lobbyist for Neon Museum. Are you familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wonderful museum, great history on Las Vegas. And they needed 10
all
million.
the old signs. Whenever a hotel gaming property gets blown up, they always donate there. It's the place to go for like wedding photos or just to check. The place is amazing.
It's amazing, but it doesn't have a great location. It needs a better location.
It's in the hood.
So they were asking for $10 million to be put in what we call the Christmas tree bill, which if anybody's been watching the news and Gorlo choosing not to rerun again. So she pretty much voted for $250 million or $250,000 to an organization. And then a couple weeks later, they hired her as the executive director. So it was like very quid pro quo-ish. Okay. So there's been a lot of scuttlebutt in the news about this thing. So anyway, they wanted $10 million in the Christmas tree bill. And, you know, asking a Republican for money is like, no, we can't do that.
I'd rather go to the dentist.
Or something, right? Yeah. Or my kid's piano recital. I mean, I love him, but So anyway, I was like, I don't know if I can do that, but came up with the idea, hey, the A's want to move to Vegas. They need to figure out how to, like, you know, get that Oakland stank off of them and really embrace Vegas. What a better way than if they incorporated the signs into their stadium? So lobbyists would come in because the A's hired every single lobbyist. So, and you know, the first set are the lower level. And then as, you know, you meet more lobbyists, they get higher up on the hierarchy. So the first set was like, hey, we'd really like your support. And I said, yeah, for Neon Museum. And explained to them why. They went, oh, yeah, that's nice. And probably walked out of my office and said, that lady's crazy.
She's batshit crazy.
Right. Like we thought she was normal, but now it's really coming out.
Yeah.
Second set, same thing. Third set said, oh, yeah, we heard about that in a meeting. Fourth set goes, yeah, we're having conversations with Neon. And I said, okay, great. Fifth set said, we're going to do it. I said, great. Is it in writing? Oh, let us get back to you. Right? A good real estate agent always gets everything in writing.
Always. Good girl.
Finally, the sixth set comes into my office and is like, we have a deal. We're going to incorporate them in the outfield and, you know, we'll rotate them and then we'll also help them find another location and we're going to partner with them. We think this is an amazing idea. You're right. This is what we need. And so that was my moment where my vote counted and I stuck to something pretty simple. I didn't have my hand out for millions of dollars. Yeah. It was simple. And we were able to help the Neon Museum in the long run, and which is amazing. And I will say that was the moment I actually cried.
Oh.
Yeah, you're tired. It's 4 months up there.
You're exhausted.
You're away from your family. You're kind of wondering, what did I do this for? Did I make a difference? Did I make an impact? Was the sacrifice worth it? And at that very moment, I realized it was worth it. Yeah, I know. But then listen to how this rumor bill goes. Then what happened was the rumors said that lobbyist made me cry. And how awful of him. Yeah.
Bully.
So that's what that place is like. It's junior high.
Is just to put a bow on the whole Neon Museum thing. So are the A's paying for a relocation? Are the A's going to have signs at the new stadium from like a rotating display of signs, or how's it going to be done? That's
so
cool.
They're going to have rotating signs on display. And, you know, the lobbyists had this vision of him being in the outfield protected by nets, and that still might be the case. They might have them throughout the you know, stadium, like where people are walking through. They can only have so many of those signs so that they can manage their 501(c)(3)s. So there's a little bit of a balancing act there. But I think because MGM owns a lot of that land between MGM and where the stadium, where the stadium's going to be. So I have a feeling that there's conversations between MGM, Neon, and A's on how they can try to incorporate it within that area.
It'd be so cool, like being in New York and you go to like Shea Stadium where the Mets play and the Apple would come up whenever somebody had a home run.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just remember that. Like, the Mets usually sucked, but to go there, like, it was a cool, like, shticky thing that they did.
Yes.
And it's now like, I haven't been to a Raiders game yet, but I've been to a ton of the Golden Knights games. That's like going to a show.
Yeah.
Like, that's bananas. And for the A's to do something like that, to incorporate the neon and to do something that's just stuff would go off whenever someone hits a home run.
Yeah.
Danielle, that'd be so freaking cool.
It'd be so cool. So, and you know, it's funny. My first baseball game was Shea Stadium.
Really?
Yeah. Gerald Strawberry.
High as a kite on blow.
I was 9.
Probably.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. You like just crushed my little 9-year-old dream. Yeah, my uncle and aunt took me there. It was my first trip back to New York. Well, by myself, actually. And I flew there all by myself from San Francisco to New York when I was 9 years old and spent a month like just getting to know my East Coast family. And yeah, they took me to Shea Stadium and I got my hot dog and my hamburger. And yeah, it was great.
Oh, Dwight Gooden, all of them high as kites.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bolivia had a straight, like, one-way express, I think, dropping just kilos of Coke.
Wow.
In Queens, yeah. Oh,
No
open
idea.
about it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All of them. All of that, almost that whole team. Yeah. Well, not almost the whole team, but a lot of them were. Oh, yeah.
Well, I didn't see any powder flying that night.
Okay, good. Oh, my good hell. All right, so let's get back to Carson City.
Okay.
So that's amazing, by the way, the whole like Neon Museum stuff. You're good because we've been friends for a while. You are the uber long play person.
I am.
You're very good at long playing. And politics is such an emotional thing and how people can be so reactionary to, false news, fake news that goes out on a subscription service, and you're like, that's bullshit. That's not what happened.
Right.
No one makes me cry. I cry when I want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make me cry. No, there's no crying in politics. What's wrong with you?
Oh, baseball. Look at all these baseball references.
We're coming back again. God bless Tom Hanks. And so, but you're good at, you read people and you don't react quickly to them. You sit back and you're a little sponge, man, because you just sit back and go, okay, all right. And then you sleep on it and you think about it. Mm-hmm. And you might talk to some people in your inner circle or talk to your husband about it and talk to Paul and go, okay, now I know what I'm going to do. And this might not come to fruition for weeks or months or even farther down the road.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah. You know me pretty well.
So what else? Aside from the Neon Museum, like what else in terms of in the now 10 months you've been there, other stuff that you've seen, either challenges or good stuff with Carson City? So
it's funny. They talk about how most of the bills, 95% of the bills are bipartisan votes, but 90% of those bills are Democrat bills. It's not really that bipartisan because the Democrats decide on what bills are going to be heard in hearing and if they're going to be able to get a work session to be voted out and so on and forth, so on and so forth. So like they set the pace, they decide, they are the gates. And so, you have to really suck up to the chairs in order to be able to get your bills heard and even maybe a work session if it is a bipartisan bill. I was on Judiciary and I loved Judiciary, loved it. It was 5 days a week, 8 a.m. I didn't care. But the chair was tough. Like I joked that we were in an oppressive regime, but there was some truth to it. In terms of, one question per bill. Now we're vetting laws that are going to affect our judicial system, sometimes even our criminal system. I mean, like the fentanyl bill, right, where we're trying to reduce how much fentanyl is considered a felony, and you're allowed one question. But you also have to take a look at who she is. So she's a school teacher, so she has to rule her classroom very strictly.
Regimented.
Yes, very.
I get it.
Yeah, I get
that.
it. And she got a lot of flack for how she handled that committee. And I can't say I didn't like it. But at the same time, like, I appreciate the fact that we were equally all under an oppressive regime. That part I could respect. There was no favoritism amongst
Honor
anybody.
amongst thieves.
Yeah. And so I could work with that. And so I ended up building like a nice rapport and respect with her, even though if I ever get the chance of being chair, we have to make it to the majority, that I would do it differently, but to each their own. So there were bills, like there was a bill I wanted to put forth, AB 111, which was going to protect religious artifacts being able to be affixed to door frames in HOA communities. This is a bipartisan bill. Yes, the ADL, this was a bill that they wanted to be brought forth. Just a little background, my dad's side of the family is Jewish. So like culturally, that's very important to me and part of who I am. And the
Mezuzah? What's it?
Mezuzah.
Mezuzah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And at this point,
it's cool.
That bad press had dropped about me. And so the chair thought I was crazy.
Now you're a religious zealot.
Now something.
How dare you?
How dare I?
Osama bin Laden of Carson City. Screaming Allah Akbar. How dare you?
I know. It's like, but she wouldn't hear the bill.
No.
Because we don't make legislation for one group of people, I was told. But yeah, we were hearing trans bills for those in the criminal or in the judicial system or prison system. And when I asked the director how many trans people are in the prison system, 9. So I'm like, okay, none of this makes sense. No. Yeah. So but you kind of have to laugh about it. If you take it too seriously, if you get upset, like, Brittany Miller and I, we signed AJR 7 together. She needed a Republican signature on there. And that was sending a resolution to Congress asking for cannabis to be descheduled so they can use the banking system. If I let my feelings get in the way of that, then I would have hurt the cannabis industry by not advocating so that they can use the banking system.
Let them. Look at the money being generated.
But even just the safety component of it, them being in all cash, I mean, it's insanity.
How do they take care of it now? Is it like SEAL Team 6 pulling up in an armored car?
Yes.
And they go to a nondescript location, like almost like Area 51 locally, and it's like then the cash is stored there?
Yes.
Like what?
Yes.
That's
and then
crazy.
The ones that have figured out how to use like debit cards, it's because the way it gets charged, it doesn't look like it's a cannabis facility. But then once the credit companies like figure it out, then they drop them and then they find somebody else with a different name. It's such a racket, and it's just to keep their employees safe. And just for accounting purposes, I would think the government would want everything electronic. I mean, they're trying to go to digital currency anyway, at a failure of that is. But I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And now I've got Republicans up in D.C. that are fighting this bill to allow the cannabis industry to use the banking system.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, I can't. There's times I look at my party and I think, like, what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah. There's such and this is definitely at the federal level, such a disconnect.
Yes.
Of leadership to constituency. And it's just me, but if you look at our current president can barely form a sentence. Like, it's awful. And then the number one candidate on the Republican side is a guy who's almost 80 and can speak, but is also like, as long as he didn't have Twitter, I think he'd be a lot better. But also can be insane with the stuff he's doing. Why is there nobody younger getting involved? And more importantly, why aren't the people with money, i.e. super PACs, endorsing younger people? That's what I've always asked that question. Like, what is going on?
Well, I think there's a balance. I mean, you take a look at Vivek. He's too young. He's too hot. I mean, just emotionally, not looks-wise.
Yeah, no.
He's definitely got a chip on his shoulder. It's like, I don't need that loose cannon in the White House. I think that's just stupid. But then you take a look at somebody like DeSantis, who's got a proven track record, but he's not doing a great job with his campaign.
Nope.
I mean, it also doesn't help that Trump spent $75 million in negative ads against DeSantis in the first few months. It just killed him. So it tells you that Trump was worried about him. And then you've got Trump, who it's just become the thing I don't like about Trump anymore. And I did vote for him last election. The thing I don't like about him is that we're supposed to just die on a sword for him 100% of the time. There's no room for me to have a differing opinion and him not to fillet me, not that I'm up there, but if that was the case, and totally just throw me out on the street.
He's very black and white with the way he makes decisions.
Orange and white?
Touche, my love. He is very much like, how many senior staff members did he go through during his tenure? It was like a record of the amount of people that he was firing. And then these are people that are well established, well regarded in their niche, and then coming out and writing a book or going on the speaking circuit saying, this guy's fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
With what the decisions he's making are just like him having all these secret documents. And Chris Christie was on, you listen to All In Podcast?
No. Okay, I'll put it on my list.
It's these four guys that are all, it's like the #1 tech business podcast in the world. And one's a billionaire, the rest of them are 100 millionaires. And they're like, they call each other besties. So they bust balls, they're funnier than hell. And they had Chris Christie on. And Christie made a point. He said, Trump really, it was a ego thing for him to tell people, I have all these documents at my place in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's all he was doing was a bravado thing. And what? What? And we're supposed to give you like the keys to the nukes?
Well, I trust him more than Biden.
Agreed.
We didn't have any wars under him.
Agreed.
And partially, I think, because the world leaders were too scared of what the fuck he might do.
Well, when he came out and like he pissed off Iran, he pissed off and going to meet with North Korea, and he shakes shit up.
Yeah.
I give him that. And the economy was better under Trump, much better. We were better. Like, look at the economy now is shit.
$7 for gas?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
That's why I bought a Tesla.
I know. I have an electric car too.
I'm like, what? But it's, what have you done for me? And I've been a student of politics my entire life. I'm someone that I wait, like right now, the field is crowded. And it's so much of this going on, right?
Yeah.
It's exhausting. I don't listen to any of the debates. I'm waiting until like it gets down to like we're 6 months out.
Yeah.
Give me April.
Yeah.
Give me April 24. Then I'll start paying attention to who's out there and what's going on.
Yeah. I'd love it if Youngkin would jump in the race.
Who?
Youngkin in Virginia.
I don't know.
The Republican governor that literally flipped that seat last cycle. No, 2 cycles ago.
Good for him.
School choice. I mean, because his opponent was like, "Oh, parents shouldn't be teaching their kids, shouldn't decide on curriculum. Teachers should be deciding that." And Youngkin just like grabbed onto that. He became the education governor, and he flipped that seat. And he's been doing an amazing job. It'd be great if we could get another like monkey wrench in that whole thing.
So, when you say that, let's talk about education here, and tell me if this is true or not. But governor's office says we're going to give more money for education. Money comes down, and next thing, superintendent here gives himself a $75,000 raise and creates like 6 or 7 or 8 positions. Like I saw TikTok videos of teachers that went viral.
Yes,
viral about. We're seeing no benefit whatsoever. There's no teachers. There being more teachers aren't being hired. There's no pay increase. All this other stuff. True, not true, kind of true?
Kind of true. So this is some inside baseball stuff that's a little icky. So we approved over $2 billion towards education, the largest education funding increase, I think, ever. So the idea is, and I love that we've changed to the per pupil model, so that you can really, measure apples to apples compared to private school to public school. So originally it was about like $12,000 and change per pupil. And that's like the perfect pupil. They don't need any extra services. They're not gifted. They don't need like an EPA, right? Like what is it? Sorry, I'm blanking on it. If they have a learning disability,
and I have 2 kids in school and I have no freaking idea.
Yeah, so if they have a learning disability and they have like a special program, or if they're not, English isn't their first language, then they get more money on top of that.
Okay.
So with this increase, now it's $14,700, I believe it is. That's a lot of money. I mean, everybody keeps saying, oh, they need more money. My private school for my kids each costs $10,000 a year. That's $4,000 more than what I'm paying for private school. So don't tell me it's a funding issue or it's a spending issue, right? So there's that part of it. We did approve a teacher's increase. And all of a sudden there is like this stuff in the news that they're not going to get it, that they can't afford it. And then there's so much that happens in Carson that you sometimes don't realize a piece of information is really important until down the road. And I remember one of the issues that the governor was like grappling with was that Canizaro said, we'll do a teacher increase. But the way they funded it, and I don't know enough about the budget yet, okay? It was a one-time funding. It was not going to be a recurring funding.
Oh, okay.
So now in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is an issue. It's a one-time funding. And Jara's like, I can't promise to do this pay increase this year and know that I'll be able to get it next year. And this goes with opportunity scholarships. I mean, under Sisolak, they approved $10 million in opportunity scholarships. Under this governor, they only approved like $3 million, which is what caused all those issues with those kids losing their scholarship. But the way the law is written is that the organization can only award those scholarships if they promise to pay for it through the time the kid's 18. So, I mean, it's like, and the bureaucracy of this whole thing. And then I kind of sat back and I thought, wow, that was pretty smart of Canizaro, because how awful is that going to look under governor in 2 years when the teachers have a pay decrease? Oh, how dare that governor? When really it was the Democrat legislature that said, no, we're going to do a one-time funding source for your salary so that we can play politics and get our way 2 years down the road. We're going to play with your lives for our benefit. That's the stuff that drives me nuts.
That's insane.
I'd rather not get elected and do the right thing for Nevadans that last decades than to just continue to play politics with everybody's lives so I can get elected year after year after year. I mean, that is the antithesis of what we need up there.
How do you handle that? Because you're smarter than your average bear.
Me personally?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you just got to tell people to pound sand. Say, I don't care. I mean, there was an issue with a utility company, and I'm not going to go into which one. There's a lot of them out there. And my bill was particularly high. And they didn't want me voting to open up the market. Right? And it wasn't like said outright, but there was a little bit of like, well, let's take a look at your bill. And my response to them was, I don't care. I got 80,000 other people that you're screwing. I'm not going to like sell my soul for my bill. Like, get the hell out of my office. So, I mean, you kind of have to just say, screw it. I don't care. You have to just sometimes do the right thing, which means there's consequences with that. I mean, I've become very vocal since I left Carson. Respectfully, but vocal. So the Gov and his PAC and his team, there's Nevada Stronger PAC and, I'm blanking on the other one, Better Nevada PAC. And they've got some pretty intense Twitter accounts going on, and they're really calling Democrats out on their stuff. And we've never had what I like to call a PSYOP in the Republican Party.
Wow. Okay.
This is very Reed machine. And we've never had it. And this is the first time the Democrats are actually getting some pushback and being called out on their shit. And guess what? Like when you don't have practice at it, you don't take it too well. And sometimes they're whining and they're going to bitch and they're going to moan. But I damn well know when I go up to Carson, they're going to be mad that I retweeted those tweets. Nobody else in my caucus is doing it because they're afraid that their bills are not going to get heard. And my thought is, this is the long game. So if I don't get bills passed the first couple of times because I'm helping the Republican Party and I'm trying to support Nevadans, which 77% of them want school choice, which is where my only focus is. The only way we're going to get that is if we get Republicans in the majority. So if that means I have to lose these little battles, which means I don't get my bills heard, so that we can get something greater for Nevada and greater for our kids, I'm willing to take that.
I think that your new name should be Long Play Danielle. You're so good, honey, at that. You're so good at that.
I had a lobbyist tell me I could give a woodpecker a headache.
It's true.
I'm persistent but polite.
Yeah.
And finally they get to the point where they're like, oh, just, okay, fine.
Enough.
That's the
It's
ace
exhausting.
thing. Yeah.
It's exhausting. I'm sure your husband could bring multiple things up.
Oh, gosh, that man. What did you call him before we started
It's
this?
the patience of Job.
Yes, he is.
The patience of Job.
Yeah, I know.
Love you, Paul Gallant. Love you. Love you.
I love you too, hun.
You're there.
Oh, I'm there.
Yeah,
love
you're
you too, hun.
So if you could do it all over again, and you're 10 months in, what would you do differently?
Oh. Ooh. I'm going to really step in it if I answer that question.
Okay.
I don't know if it's hard. I guess hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to look back on those things. I'm sure there's something I would do differently, but then I think about like, well, if I made a different decision, like maybe turning down being minority leader, because it's, it definitely put a target on my back. Mm-hmm. And a freshman should not be in leadership, as particularly the way the Democrats feel. But when there's 28 of them and 14 of you, you don't have as many options on our side. So that was hard. And I kind of felt a little hazing, like, oh, we're going to put her in her place. So maybe I would have turned that down. I actually did turn it down. I tried to have the minority leader give it to somebody else, but he insisted.
But if you want something done, do it yourself.
Yes. If you want something done, do it yourself. I probably would have handled some of my caucus members a little bit differently. I don't know if I want to go into detail about that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, I'm all about evolving.
Yeah.
And you try to be a better person today than you were yesterday, even by a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. And
I think in your role now, because you're under this, a giant microscope, and you've got 80,000 constituents that you report to, and so for you, it's how do I evolve every day, either a little bit or a lot, at my job as your elected representative.
Yeah. So this one, I will say, I've been thinking about this a lot now that you pose the question this way. It is really easy, almost addictive, to get pulled into the drama and the gossip and the negativity around all of it. It's like Real Housewives of Carson City. So, and I used to watch the show. I used to be like totally addicted to it. And funny enough, when I ran for politics and I had this new crazy show called My Life, I lost patience for that show. I can't watch it anymore. I know. So it's easy to get like pulled into that. And then you stop focusing on what could be solutions. And so there's definitely this constant battle because people all around you want to pull you into the mud and they want to make it personal. And you want to help. That's my nature. Somebody comes to me with a problem, I want to fix it. And I want to understand the problem. But I need to get better at going, okay, here's the problem. And then here's like the emotion of it, which I don't need. That's where that needs to stay. I need to stick with the mechanics so that I can just solve this problem. Because it takes a lot of energy being all in that mess. It's awful. And everybody engages in it, whether it's legislature or legislators or lobbyists or consultants or constituents or this grassroots. There's somebody always unhappy with somebody. It's insane.
Is there more of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset in Carson City?
I think there's both.
That's not an acceptable answer.
When you
Assemblywoman.
I mean, just in general, as everybody, not just me, but everyone. I think there is competing efforts in that respect.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So like the bureaucracy, the people that are like the institutional
like the
knowledge.
Old school, old guard, heels dug in.
Yeah. I mean, but the bureaucracies of it, LCB, right? All the departments.
Layers.
Layers and layers and layers
shit.
of bureaucracy. And this is how it's always been done. And this is the way we're going to do it. And so when you come to them with a new idea, it's like, ooh.
It's like going to the DMV.
Yeah, it's like going to they are doing some good work, by the way. I worked with them a lot during session.
Do tell.
Yes, Sean Severs is their government affairs. and one of the kindest individuals I have ever met. And every time I come to him with a constituent that needs help, he fixes it. And so those are the things that I love about my position, is that I have somebody that will directly just go ahead and fix the problem. I wish all of Nevadans had that. I mean, poor Sean can't service like the entire state of Nevada, but for those constituents that reach out to me, like it gets fixed. And they're updating their computer system.
What?
They're updating their computer system so that we can do a majority of the stuff online. It's going to be amazing.
Can we get to where, because some states I think now have it where your license is like an app. It's digital.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I look into it, but I'm pretty certain that there's a few states now that have rolled that out where it's digital.
Yeah.
There's no need to have a license anymore. It's just on your, like your Costco card.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, I'll talk to him about that.
Talk to him about that one.
I'll email him when I leave here.
There you go.
It'll be a quick ad.
Hey, I'm one of your constituents, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that
I'm
would have to be
man. I'm right there.
And that would have to be a bill next cycle.
Right there.
Yeah.
Hey, the number one street for Halloween and Christmas. That's me, man. That's me. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I know. You're happy there, huh?
And you know what? It's been an interesting circumstance of events, just with having a flood in my townhouse and then finding this place nearby and my mom passing away. And it's been a year. It's been a year, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm super happy.
Yeah.
And
now this new career.
And now this, which I love this.
I'm sure you do.
As of today, I've posted 275 videos on YouTube. I started January 17th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you gotten Jack on here yet?
Yeah. No.
Why not?
Well, I have Alexandria, my daughter's coming on this month in like 2 weeks. She's coming on.
Okay.
So then that's the first one, and then Jack will be next. Yeah.
I can't wait for that one.
At first I was like, I want to have them both on, but like, no, because I won't get the true sense of each one of them.
Yeah.
So I just want to do each kid and have them come on. And again, unfiltered, uncensored. And Alex is so funny because she's a freshman now at LVA. So she's theater and that's her thing. And she goes, I'm going to write down questions for you, Dad. I said, honey, whatever you want to do. I'm like, good for you.
Planner.
No one's done that.
Oh.
And this is my 33rd episode. I'm like, no one really has done that.
I walked in and said, what are we talking about? You're like, I don't know. We'll see.
We just wing it, man. And I've been on podcasts where you wing it. I've been on some where they ask you a bunch of stuff ahead of time and you pre-approve questions, all that. I'm like, I'd rather just go in and shoot fast and loose.
Yeah.
And it's like if we're at Hank's having dirty martinis, it's the same conversation.
Yeah.
Except there's no martinis here, which we could do. I do want to have you come back and we'll do an evening shoot and I'll have a bartender come in.
Oh, and a group of us have martinis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that idea. It's very Ben Shapiro where they do like cigars and whiskey. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Rogan does it with they're smoking weed. We won't take it that far, but to have a couple of drinks while we're talking.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh, it'd be so fun if we did one in one of the new cannabis lounges.
We could make that happen.
Uh-huh.
We could 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Vera, owner of Level 9 Studios, the best podcast studio on the fucking planet, could make that happen.
Yeah.
And he's back there right now giggling, going, oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
I'm the only Republican that voted for all those cannabis bills.
If you could make the introduction to one of the people that are connected in one of those lounges.
I got a couple, yeah.
I think that we could 100% make that happen.
That'd be fun.
I just did my first remote was at Breakfast Junkies out near us. And I had Erin Mills, she's with, I think, EXP.
Okay.
And then Brandon Johnston, he's with HomeSmart Encore, but he's Brandon from Vegas, over 300,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
Is a monster. And he just does food reviews, but does 25, 35 deals a year because people see his food reviews and about 10% is real estate stuff.
Perfect.
So we did a live remote at the bar. We had like bar stools put over and tables put together and they're bringing food and I'm having a couple watermelon margaritas and we just shot the shit for over an hour while sampling the food and the drinks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I love that.
Oh,
Have you ever been into Planet 13?
No.
I'm like shamelessly plugging.
No, I go to
now.
I go to the Source on Eastern. Planet 13 is a giant one downtown.
Huge.
Right? Massive.
Let me tell you something. If you love business and you love enterprise,
I do.
These guys are fucking mad scientists. I swear to God. Technology, robots, and then on top of that, they have a restaurant and a bar in there. Do you want to know how they do that?
Oh.
There is a hallway down the middle. Restaurant, bar on one side, cannabis on the other.
Common area is the hallway.
And different unit numbers.
Common area is the hallway.
It's brilliant. And in the back.
It's fucking brilliant, Danielle.
I know. That's what I'm
them.
telling you. They're amazing. And then in the back, they're doing renovations and huge constructions for a cannabis lounge, which will then have another hallway where there's a bar and a venue so that they can do concerts and things like that.
Okay. I love you with the heat of 1,000 suns, and you know that. Your mission right now is to get us into a lounge or into there
Okay.
ASAP.
Yeah.
For a remote.
Yeah. That'd be great.
They'd love it.
Oh, they would. I've been so impressed with their operations. I even took Paul later, like a couple days later, we had to go get breakfast, right? And go show him. And he doesn't smoke pot. He's like,
he doesn't?
No. It doesn't work with him. He doesn't drink. Right. He doesn't smoke pot.
All right.
He just likes to work and,
fine.
Hang out with me. And
well, hello, duh.
Yeah, but this is G-rated, right? Or PG at least.
Well, this could be whatever you want.
I've been married for 14 years now. 14.
That's awesome.
I know.
And he's the best.
He is. And he loves me like crazy.
I remember back when Alex was doing karate and I was talking to him at the dojang, and I'm going to start crying about this. I said, how's it going with Danielle being gone? And he said, I miss her.
I know.
He goes, I miss her terribly. Yeah. I'm like, oh my, it's just, his love for you is so pure.
I know.
And he's a manly man that builds shit and builds, see-through walkways in your fucking house and all this really cool shit. And when he said that, I'm like, I love you.
I know.
As from guy to guy, like for him to be that vulnerable to another guy and say that was just so cool.
Yeah.
When he shared that with me.
We spent a lot of time building our relationship. I mean, he and I present differently, right? I mean, he is much more like, I want to spend every minute of every waking day with you. I mean, typical, baby of the family is like one of 5. I'm an only child. So there's times where I'm like good being independent and do my own thing. But we spend a lot of time working on a relationship, not just in the beginning, not just every once in a while, all the time. And one of the things he and I, when we first met, was that we had this saying where we promised not to love each other forever, but to choose each other forever.
I love that.
So there are times, marriage is not easy. Everybody wants, that's the other thing that drives me nuts about politics, is that they expect that because you're a legislator, you're supposed to be perfect. Right? Nothing's wrong. Everything's, fine. Life's messy. My life's messy. There's times I get it wrong. There's times I get it right. And marriage is hard. And Carson was hard. Carson was hard on our marriage.
What did you learn from your time there and how did you apply that to strengthen your marriage?
So I was so Carson is like this black hole. And the only people that know what it's like going through it are the other people that are up there with you. But they're not your friends up there. And so it's hard to bond with somebody or a lot of people up there that really trust only goes so far. And I wasn't spending enough time really talking to Paul about everything that I was going through. There was maybe a part of me that wanted to protect him because, there was some nasty things being said about me, and my husband's fiercely loyal and protective. And then there was just other times where it was I was exhausted and I didn't want to have to explain every little thing that was going on. But what I found was more exhausting is being disconnected from him. So towards the end, I actually said to him, I need you up here this whole week without the kids. I just need you here. And it really allowed us just to be together and to be supportive and to really just, there was stuff that was going on with him within my world, right? Somebody calling him and spreading lies about me, right? that he didn't want to tell me because he knew it wasn't true, but he wanted me to know that this person was doing that. And so once we started to really talk and connect again, everything became a lot easier. So that was the thing that I will not make the mistake of next time around, is that like I will tell him good, bad, and ugly. This is what my day's like. This is what's going on. This is who's being great today. This who's being an asshole today. So that we know what's going on in each other's lives.
I think a great way for you, and I think it would be cathartic for you because you like to help people. Not please them, but help them.
Yes.
There's a difference. I think that if there are people interested in running and if they're married and they've never been in public office before, that you offer to them, hey, you know what? As whenever you want, I could sit down with you. Let's have a drink. And good, bad, and ugly, I'm going to tell you how it was taxing on my relationship with my husband, but more importantly, how we've come out of it even stronger than before.
Yeah. And we did. I mean,
because that's something you don't even think about, really. When you're running and you get in and you're thrown into this, whirlwind of stuff, that you're up there a lot. Mm-hmm. And you're apart from your man a lot. And what that does to the dynamic of a relationship. Yeah. I think no one really talks about that. That's in public office, right?
No, they don't. I mean, if you take a look at most people, I mean, they're either they don't have children or their children are grown. So that's a big one. And so I don't think it's as taxing, because if you think about it, like Paul had to be home every single night with the kids, quiet house with 2 kids. I mean, not that quiet because the boys are loud, but if you could go out and have a drink with your friends or go out to dinner or have somewhat of a social life, it kind of helps, forget that your spouse is gone. Mm-hmm. But he was Mr. Mom for 4 months, which, by the way, he's never had to do that.
Well, I asked him about it, and because I said, are you losing your mind? And he said, I just miss Danielle. Yeah. But and he didn't even miss a beat with his answer to me. Yeah. When I asked him about it, and I was like, you're a good man.
Yeah. And he loves the kids and
loves the boys, loves them.
Like he just thinks they're the most amazing thing. But I was a big missing piece on that.
Huge.
Now the boys liked it that I was gone because they were going out to dinner more often.
Oh yeah.
They were getting ice cream more often. Oh, yeah. They got to do sleepovers in our room, right? And stay up later.
Paul's a Disney dad.
He was like,
Paul's a fucking Disney dad.
This is great.
It's awesome.
This is awesome. Dad's
Mom,
cool.
We're good.
Yeah, we're great. I mean, when I got back, we're driving the kids to camp. And at this point, like, we're so happy to be together as a family. Like, Paul and I are both driving the kids to camp. And Xander, my oldest, goes, hey, Mom, are you going to rerun? And I went, yeah, I was thinking about it. Is that okay? And he goes, yes. And the little one, Maddox, goes, Sandra, that's not nice. Didn't you miss Mom? He goes, yeah, but, we saw her on the weekends and
it's good enough.
Dad was really fun during the week. Plus, we got to do ski season in Tahoe.
He did a whole cost benefit analysis. It's like, this is, where we're at.
I know. The little one, on the other hand, was so.
Well.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah. I mean, Maddox is. I mean,
he's hard.
Yeah, I mean, karate. He's like looking at you for validation like the whole time.
I know, it's really annoying because I want him to focus, right? Like I think, like as an athlete, I used to be an athlete. Yeah. You have to block all that out in order to succeed. I'm so funny that you noticed that.
Oh yeah, screw you, Master Jackson. I'm looking at Mom.
I'm looking at Mom, which is one of the reasons why I try not to go, because I want him to focus on karate.
Good for you.
But then I think everybody thinks I'm this bad mom because I never sit in there.
No, you're a good mama. You're a good mama. So when, I know the answer to this, but when you get elected, when do you start putting together your like re-election stuff and start like shaking the trees?
As soon as you get back from Carson. So I'm fundraising, by the way, if all your listeners would like to help out.
Okay.
So this is my philosophy on this. And I keep trying to like very grassroots. I have 80,000 people in my district, give or take, okay? If half my district donated $25 a year to my campaign, I would never have to talk to another lobbyist again. And the only voice that would matter would be my constituents. Now, for me personally, their voice is the only one that really matters. But there are times when I have been put in a position to vote a certain way because there was either support or they were going to get the loudest people in the room, which is usually the smallest population, against me. But if I know, like, I have this token of support from half my constituency, $25 a year just to make sure your voice is heard. And then you know what else that does? That's a huge time saver for me. Right now, I'm 4 to 5 hours a day on the phone asking people for money.
Awful.
It's awful.
It's awful.
Yeah. And so if I could then spend 4 to 5 hours a day just doing constituent services, because I don't get staff in the interim, then I could be more effective in what the whole reason why I want to be here.
Does your Assemblywoman title have its own Instagram page?
I do have an Instagram, which I'm not a big Instagram fan. So I have Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and my website.
Okay. We'll talk. And what I'll do is put all of your links. Like what I do is post any shorts or long form stuff too. All the links in the description for YouTube. Yeah. So people can go ahead and click on there. I'll tag you whenever shorts go out. Yeah. And to do that, I would be active on Instagram. Yeah. It's a biggie.
I know.
Sorry, that's a biggie.
But I'm having to call and fundraise all the time. And then constituent services. Let's talk about this. I've got an unemployment issue, right? We got Dieter. This poor call service was telling all of these people, or at least this is what I'm hearing, and I'm trying to get down to the bottom of it, that the trade, like the hairdressers, those that were 1099, were all of a sudden eligible for 1090 or for unemployment. And then there was also this other pot of money called PUA. And it was like this one-shot money, and then the unemployment would be like monthly. And this call service was telling these people they could get both pots of money. But we can't pull the recordings because that call service went out of business. Oh. So if we could prove that it was actually that call service's fault, then these people won't have to pay both pots of money. But right now the federal government is saying, oh, no, that's fraud. Now you have to pay back both pots of money.
Wow.
Like, how am I supposed to have time to like unwind all of the, and I'm trying, like we're trying to like case by case. When somebody comes and brings it to me, I send it to the director. We're trying to work through it. But I'd rather be spending my time making sure that we don't, bankrupt the very people we tried to stop getting bankrupt when they decided to shut down the government. I mean, that's how I'd like to spend my time. What we can do to help. And again, this is for any elected, whoever is somebody, this is an open forum. You know, you and I have been friends for forever. And so obviously I asked you to come on and you graciously said yes. So of course, and in full disclosure, I've contributed to your campaign and will in the future. I love you and what you're doing and love your family. So we need more of you in Carson City and Washington, D.C. And if there's others out there that feel the same way and they want to come on, if it's someone that we jive and we get along, same thing. Yeah. But I think that for you, it's doing stuff like this, like quarterly, and then I put out shorts of our conversation and tag you on there to say to donate to, assemblywomanforever.com, assemblywomaninperpetuity.com. We do have term limits.
Oh, fine. Whatever. Can you please tell Mitch McConnell that, please, somebody?
Or Dianne Feinstein?
Was she like 90 or something like that?
90.
What the shit?
Till death do us part.
What the shit? I saw it. Didn't she just died a couple days ago?
Yeah.
What? Like what?
That should never happen.
Ever.
Unless you have like a spontaneous heart attack or something at a young age. You should not be, in a nursing home and in federal office.
And still legislating.
I mean, I guess our president is in a nursing home or should be.
He's wearing diapers. There's no question. He's incontinent. There's no question. Anywho, but I think that too, again, with my brain, it's like I've now had I've got one of my shorts I posted last week. My buddy Phil Ulrich he was one of the 1 October shooting victims. And, there's that stuff. It's over 140,000 right now on Facebook. Yeah. Have seen that. Anything over 50,000. Yeah. And anything over 50,000 views is considered viral. Yeah. And so his stuff is taken off. Anytime I talk about parenting, it takes off. Yeah. I've got one over like 500,000 right now. Like I don't coddle my kids. So I talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what people think. It's my kids.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care what other people think.
I don't coddle my kids either.
You don't.
No. And you know what's
mama.
interesting is I keep hearing you have the best kids.
You do.
And I think like, really? They can be kind of shit sometimes.
No, your kids are great.
No, like everybody's like, oh, we want to go on vacation with you and your kids.
Maddox and Xander are great kids.
I'm like, really?
And they're very different, but they're really good kids because what I tell people in my comments to folks that all like now people are like sharing with me how they parent.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I say, you're parenting at an elite level. And you and Paul are elite level parents.
I learned from the best.
Oh, please. Please, who's been married twice, divorced, and fucking shit show. But
You're
my kids are good.
You're amazing, Dad.
Well, I love my kids.
Yeah.
I do whatever I can to be present and active in their lives.
And you're creative.
Yeah.
You're always down to have a good time with them. I mean,
Jack would drive my golf cart at is it Ellis is the school near me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Alex is in the back and Jack's driving. He wants to drive the golf cart, so we're out driving on Saturday, and he's happier than a pig in shit.
yeah.
Loves it.
But they still respect you. You still expect a certain level of like decorum and
Not their
behavior
friend.
from them. Yeah.
I'm not their friend.
You've got a good balance.
I'm their dad.
Yeah.
And they know that, but also I'm 53, but 54 soon, but I'm old school with how I parent.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I don't see that. Like I did a post the other day. You see kids out with this giant iPad at a restaurant and they're watching a YouTube video with no earbuds. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Get out.
Yeah.
Like I want to walk over to the gas station, buy earbuds for $5, give it to them, at least say here. I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
It's noise pollution.
I don't
for
let
me.
the kids watch, bring iPads to dinner.
I don't. There's no electronics at all.
Yeah. We don't.
None.
We don't do that.
Yeah,
I know
we
if
do
a dinner's
not.
going extra long and they didn't towards the end when we're like having coffee or
They get
something,
antsy.
then I like hand them my phones, right? But it's only on. But I bring games to dinner. Cover Your Assets. Great card game.
It's awesome.
There's one like get to know your family, so you have to answer trivia questions or guess. Yeah, and the kids love it. Or I just make fun of them the whole time.
Oh my gosh. All right. So come back to you with raising money for you. Where can people go to if they want to contribute to your campaign?
So they can go to my website, DanielleFornv.com, and click on the donate button, and you can donate there. Or if you wanted something more personal, call me. 725-272-7798. We can meet, have coffee.
You're insane to give your number
I
out.
do it all the time.
I know you do. You're crazy.
And you know what?
Crazy.
Every time I answer the phone and it's
crazy.
a constituent, they're like, I didn't expect you to answer the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're in my district, right? Yeah.
Good for you.
Like you're my boss. What do you mean I'm not going to take calls from you? And I'll tell you whether I can help you or can't help you or whatever it is. Like, I'm human.
Out of the 10 calls you get, how many are like good conversations and how many are just wackadoos?
Oh, it's rare I get a wackadoo call.
Really?
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. I mean, when we do town halls, maybe one call is wackadoo. It's always the election integrity stuff. It's those people that are just like still holding on to that. And I always say to them, look, there might have been a little fraud, but not enough to change the election. They can't prove it.
Just a little bit of fraud.
But you can't prove it.
Dash of fraud.
There's always something. There's always been. I mean, you can't say that everything's 100% pristine clean, but probably not enough to change the election. And either way, if it has, nobody's been able to prove it. So just like let it go.
Well, pick and choose the hills you want to die on.
Yes.
Right?
I know.
And the more we can do that, the less exhausted you're going to get, or at least it's going to be longer until you get exhausted.
That's how you play the long game.
I swear to God, long game, Danielle. That should be like your hashtag or something. It's way too long.
I know. What did you think like 10 years ago when you met me? And then now?
I thought that you're incredibly smart. Your brain goes 1,000,000 miles an hour and you've got like 17 irons in the fire of what you're doing. You're not afraid to poke the bear.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to poke the bear if it's an establishment bear.
Those are the best kind.
Whether it's a realtor board or in Carson City or whatever, you're not afraid to shake things up. And that's the part that endeared me to you.
I remember our first meeting at my old office. And I kept thinking like, can't believe this guy's Mormon.
Me neither. Me neither, because now I'm really good at drinking and eating gummies.
Oh,
I'm really good
okay.
at both. I'm fantastic at both now.
I mean, that's a good skill set
It's
to
been
have.
almost 3 years. Yeah, and I love it. It's a great skill set. I'm actually going to update my LinkedIn profile to put that on there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Old fashions, dirty martinis, and 10 milligram gummies
You know, as I've gotten older, I just like straight tequila now.
for you. Tequila's like a whole thing because it's when I grew up, it was like nasty mezcal. You'd eat the worm. I still have PTSD from that. It was like the worst tequila ever. And now I've got like Noah Herrera's going off, and there's like Cali cartel members around him with AK-47s. There's agave growing. I'm like, Jesus, Noah.
I love Noah.
Right? I mean, I love him. One of the smartest guys in the fucking room is Noah Herrera.
Yes.
When it comes to real estate in this town, he's one of them. Like Mount Rushmore, he's on there. And it's almost like a wine tasting where there's different varieties of tequila now. And I still have yet to find one that I liked, but I'm always open for a tasting.
All right,
to
so
try
you're going
it.
to come over because I've got this rosé Raspado that I'm drinking, and it's amazing.
And just neat? You
Just
up?
neat, yeah. Just large ice, very neat.
Done.
Yeah, I mean it's lovely. Yeah, I'm like totally into tequilas
We could do that
now.
here. The next time you come here, we could do like, if we find a tequila that we both like,
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
I'm down.
And it's so much easier. So there was some, like, I had the cheap tequila and then the expensive tequila up in Carson. So depending on how I felt about you, if you had a bad day, you got one or the other.
I love that. You can choose your hills.
I mean, and
choose
everybody
your
knew
hills, my
they could
friend.
come into my office, shut the door, and, I'd like take the legislator hat off. I could put the semi-therapist hat on.
Good for you.
Yeah. I would sit down and just like have a drink, and some people would walk out of there feeling better. Some people would walk out there in tears. I'm sure there's some rumors that I made them cry.
It's fine. I'm sure there is. Please.
I'm sure I actually did a couple times.
It's fine. Mm-hmm. That's what Kleenex is in business for. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think that this is the beginning of a wonderful path that you've begun. And I'm so proud of you as a friend because you walk the walk, man. And that's the part about you I admire the most, is that you're not just lip service.
Yeah.
And to have you in Carson City does us here a great service.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah. You're welcome.
for that. And let's talk about, I'd love to say once a quarter, get you on.
Oh, so I have an open invitation to come back?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we just say, it's just what's been going on, what stuff that you're challenged with, what do people need to know about?
Yeah.
And then you have an open mic right here to, my audience is, 30% of my audience is Las Vegas,
Oh, perfect.
Southern Nevada.
We should bring Paul on here so he can air my dirty laundry.
Please. Let's do Paul and let's do tequila with Paul.
He doesn't drink anymore.
He stopped drinking?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You and I
know.
could drink.
Yeah. And he's,
Oh, he's still fun.
he's still fun.
Still love him.
It's hard. Like he's 50 now and it hurts his muscles.
Oh, for the love.
Like every time he drinks, it's like the sugar does something to his muscles
take
and he
a
wakes up
baby
in the
aspirin.
morning and he's like, "Urgh." When you're a contractor, your body's everything.
Well, he gets beat up.
He does.
He gets beat up. We'll have both of you on. I definitely
Okay.
want you back.
Thank you.
Whenever you want. Open invitation. If you've got something on your mind that you want to talk about, let me know. And then
Okay.
we'll part heaven and earth to get you in here. And then we absolutely have to figure out either Planet 19 or a lounge to
Yeah.
go and do a remote.
That'd be so much
Oh
fun.
my God.
Yeah. I'm sure I could bring some friends with me,
Please.
some characters.
Please.
Yeah.
I would say no more than 2 more, because then it just gets to be too much with all the people talking. Like one more this is perfect.
Yeah.
One more is good. I've had 2 before. It's like it's like
Ping pong.
it's like ping pong.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can make it happen. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
You're amazing. Constantly reinventing yourself. It's
really am.
inspiring.
I really am.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Birds of a feather.
Birds of a feather. It's also fucking exhausting, but I love it.
Good.
I love it. Thank you.
Thanks again.